Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's episode is pretty simple. It's entitled Hand Painting. No, I'm not going to do some figure painting or walk you through the creative process. Trust me, I'm no commercial artist and I'm barely even an amateur. It can be a challenge just getting the paint on the brush. Today I wanted to show you some of my collection that is obviously hand painted. Some of it was done by me and some of it was done by some other collector. So this video addresses persons who have painted figures in their homes or small enterprises and then have chosen to sell them for a modest amount to cover the cost of the casting, paint, etc., or to downsize their personal collections. So we are not talking about medium to large enterprises such as Britton's, John Jenkins, King & Country, etc., but rather something akin to a cottage industry or a lone artist. Having said that, I have selected some pieces from my collection. These pieces, I either know the origin or don't, so I apologize in advance for a lack of provenance.
I'm starting off with a Royal Canadian Navy color guard by Asset Miniatures. It already appeared in episode 5, but I'm revisiting it here because when I ordered it, it was a bespoke order. I had asked that the guard reflect what the Canadian Navy would have looked like pre-1914 and that the flags also reflect that. Obviously Asset would have to do this by hand, and as such it makes my list. So take a look at the guard, see what you think. Here is a small set of what is supposed to be the Royal Newfoundland Regiment circa early 1800s. Sometime around 1994, a small town museum was running a workshop to paint metal soldiers, and I attended it. We were provided gloss paints, brushes, etc., and a metal figure which was stamped on the bottom, Coronet Miniatures Canada, 1984. The instructor walked us through each stage of the painting process, and by the end of several hours, everyone had a painted figure which was supposed to be representative of the Newfoundland Regiment. All in all, I couldn't complain. It was my first time, and I must have been pleased with the experience because I eventually bought 4 more castings, which I have painted over the years. Yeah, it took years to finally finish these bad boys. They actually are part of the opening sequence of each of my videos, so you get to see my talents or lack thereof. This set are Britton's, which I bought at an antique store. They are, I think, from set number 1383, Belgian Infantry Firing, but have obviously been repainted by someone to a matte finish. They seemed odd at first. I know they had to be Britton's, but the painting was a bit put-offish, and maybe at the time I thought I would strip the paint and repaint them myself. I think that will be their fate. Still, it shows that even a Britton's figure can be repainted to whatever style or color or finish you want if you are so inclined. Next, I bought these Canadian Guards fife and drum from an OMSS member. They already appeared in episode 12, Bands. In speaking with the seller, he explained that he had retouched the figures to convert or make them Canadian. I think this shows how you can take what on the surface is an already painted figure and make it your own, or as in this case, Canadianize it, simply by adding some additional paint or details to reflect what a Canadian regiment would look like. Given the shared history between British and Canadian regiments, I think this is relatively easy. I managed to get them when he downsized his collection. Downsizing. Isn't that just another word for making room in a collection for additional pieces? I recently attended the Chicago Toy Soldier Show, and while there I purchased this U.S. Army 75mm howitzer with team made by Metal Shed, and this set of Muddy Caravan by Nate's Garage. The reason I include these is simple. They are essentially one-person operations, and the painting is done either by the artist himself or by another person in the family. In the case of Metal Shed, I learned from the book entitled Metal Shed that the artist Bruce Hebron's wife is said to be the painter. Both of these items already appeared in episode 15 about the Chicago Toy Soldier Show this year. This set is labeled as Fort Henry Cannon and Crew. It has already appeared in episode 16 and was originally made and sold by LaBelle's. From my understanding, LaBelle's was a store located in Toronto, Ontario, its final location being in the famous Royal York Hotel. LaBelle's sold a variety of figures from makers, but its own brand, if that is the right word, was produced locally, and I understand some were even painted by OMSS members. For the next several minutes, I want to show you my sets from Pride of the Nation, starting with number 0444, Cadets of the Canadian Royal Military College. This is a 5-figure set, but I previously had a female cadet. RMC is the Canadian version of Sandhurst or the U.S. military academies. Located in Kingston, it is close to where these figures originate from, at Scott Dummett Presents. This is set number 0050 of the Royal Canadian Regiment, which came in a nice box, and as well a set of Royal Canadian Regiment Pioneers. Following that is a color guard of the Royal 22nd Regiment, known as the Vandues. The Canadian Scottish Regiment, Prince Mary's, number 0047, is a nice complement to the Scottish regiments in the Canadian military. And lastly, I have a trooper of the Lord Strathconas horse. This was a limited edition, and I would like to get more if I could. This is a Fort Henry Guard at attention with bugler, number 0035, and a set of Fort Henry Guard firing, number 0034. I think it's fair to draw comparisons to other Fort Henry figures, such as Britain's or even those of MKL toy soldiers, formerly at the Guards Museum in London. Either way, I think of it as an homage, but done in Scott Dummett's own style. These will go nicely with my other Fort Henry figures, which include Britain's and MKL. Here is another set of Fort Henry artillery gunners, and I saw these figures at the 2018 London Toy Soldier Show. They are similar to the LaBelle's you saw earlier. As many of you who follow my channel know, I collect Fort Henry figures and naturally purchased the set. I later found this old naval cannon to place alongside. The figures come from the company Good Soldiers in England, and at the London show I spoke briefly with the owner, Alan Goodwin. A real nice guy, but a one-man operation, truly a cottage industry, and I think he mentioned to me that he and his wife do the paintings. He has an extensive catalog of figures at what I think are reasonable prices, and I'd like to buy more. At the time, he didn't have a website, so if that's still true, it's old school telephone, stamp, and envelope to communicate. And I'll provide his contact details as I had them at the time. This is a casting of a Camel and some ammo boxes with Lewis gun that I purchased from Montfort Miniatures, number MM090. I painted this myself, and it can be found on my episode number 3, where it blends in nicely with the other figures and camels. This is a single-mounted figure by Britain's, and I think it's a post-war number 8, 4th Hussars Queen's Own. Get a load of the rocking horse position. It's obviously been repainted by someone, and well done in my opinion, and still retains a toy-like appearance. These next two arrived as castings. The one is The Duke of Wellington by William King, and the other is General Wolfe, but I can't tell by who, although it looks like a figure done by Tradition of London. I got this through my Toy Soldier model figure subscription. I tried my hand at painting during the pandemic, and I'm not entirely happy with the result, but maybe from a distance my lack of artistry won't be so apparent. It only goes to further the point that practice makes perfect, and I certainly don't practice enough. Well, I'll leave you with those lasting images, the good, bad, and the ugly. While all toy soldiers are hand-painted to some degree, and it's hard to criticize a manufacturer half a world away trying to meet production schedules, logistical demands, and market deliveries at a competitive price, I still like to see and recognize those individual or cottage pieces cast and painted by hand at some bench or table in their kitchen, basement, or spare room. Thank you again, and if you liked what you saw, hit the like or subscribe buttons, or share a video with a friend. Until next time.